All right, well, thank you for joining us for this demo of Redis on Portworx Data Services, or PDS for short. So we're going to get right to it. We're going to deploy Redis first. So I'll usually choose version there. There's only one right now. I use my username so everyone knows it's mine. And we're going to deploy this to that namespace. We're going to leave the rest default. The demo code we're using now works with one replica, so that's ideal for what we're going to show off today. From this, so we're going to actually clone this repo, which is available. If you look it up there, we can include the notes in the notes, the link. So we're going to clone that here with git clone real quick. All right, we're going to go in there. There's only one thing we really need to edit, which is this environment variable that has the host to connect to and the password. But first we're going to set up a watch on the namespace we're going to create. So we're going to say Redis and create that namespace just in case it's not already there. I think it was, but that's okay. And now let's edit this secret. So we need to go get the host and the password from PDS. So we're going to switch back over here. I'm going to look at that view connection button. I'm going to copy that password. Come back into VI and paste. So that's the password that Redis auto-generated when we deployed it. And that is the DNS name. So drop that in there. So that we're going to create that secret. That way the deployment that I'm going to apply that runs a little Python script of to create a Redis and read from it a key and a value, some random generated names. But yeah, so that creates the secret. So at least it knows how to connect to Redis now. So we're going to look at the worker just so you can see it. There's a Python script that it runs. It uses those two variables and it starts with one replica, but we'll change that in a minute. So we'll apply this to the Redis namespace. You can see that the container is already up and running, which is good. And from here, we can take a look at some metrics on Redis. Now, it's going to take a second for it, to actually show the load, but you can see that it's starting to show a couple of things, like some cache hits and some connections, those types of things, if you check it out. Yeah. So look at the Python real quick. You can see it just randomly generates a name and a key and a value, and it puts those into Redis and then reads it back, right? So it gets it. So that way we have a write and a read real quick. I could probably make it more complicated, but we just want to show that there's something in here. So what we're going to do now is we're going to not try to type this whole command. We're going to go cheat and get back to GitHub, my README on GitHub, and paste this. There we go. So everything you need to demo this should be in, or practice, or put it in your lab, or POC it. It's all in there, in that README. So we're going to go back and get the name of the deployment in PDS, which is, scroll up to the top, 4x4BZX. So we just need to add that to the end there so it'll find the right pod. Yes, BZ6. I think I said X earlier, meant 6. There we go. And we'll just run this to get into the bash shell of that Redis pod. We'll run Redis CLI and show the extent of my Redis knowledge. We'll type keys star, and we can see, hey, there's a bunch of keys that we created. Probably over 5,000, close to 5,000 by now. And let's find a name. We'll use Ruben, since it's right in the middle there. So we'll say get Ruben, and it'll show us the value for that key. Very, very basic, very, very straightforward, but that's a randomly generated number between 1 and 10,000, I think, and so it's in the code. But yeah, so you can see there, there's some action going on with the, cache, read caches and other things that Redis does. So we got some good information there. Let's quit out of this shell and let's actually go right in and scale that pod so we can get some more connections. It's a fairly thin pod, so because it's just running a few lines of Python. So I'm going to say, how many? 32. Sounds like a good number. And as those create, you'll see those start to come up and create a lot more connections. So all of them are connecting to that same Redis instance at once. It's using that same environment variable that in secret that I applied to the Kubernetes cluster. And if we look back at our metrics, we can see that, yes, there's file system usage is basically, 10,000 keys with nothing in them. There's the cache hit ratio going up. The number of connections, if we looked at that, would go up. Yeah, so that's a pretty straightforward way to demo Redis on Portworx Data Services. If you have more questions, be sure to let us know, but we're happy to have you check this out. Thank you.